Good evening, everyone. My name is Christina Torbella from BSed English 3, Block 2. So this time I am going to report or to discuss the topic program outcomes and student learning outcomes. So when we say program outcomes, examine what a program or process is to do, achieve, or accomplish for its own improvement or in support of institutional or divisional goals, generally numbers, needs, or satisfaction driven. So student learning outcomes are statements that specify what students will know, be able to do, or be able to demonstrate when they have completed or participated of the course or program. So student learning outcomes specify an action by the student that must be observable, measurable, and able to demonstrate. So Philippines, in its Memorandum Order Number 20, Series of 2014, requires the following program outcomes for all higher education institutions. The ability to A. Articulate and discuss the latest developments in the specific field of practice. B. Effectively communicate orally and in writing using both English and Filipino. C. Work effectively and independently in multidisciplinary and multicultural teams. D. Act in recognition of professional, social, and ethical responsibility. And the last one, preserve and promote Filipino historical and cultural heritage. So now let's proceed to the program outcomes for teacher education. So the program outcomes specific to degrees are programs spelled out in the specific policies, standards, and guidelines or the PSG per program or degree issued by the same commission. So the following are the program outcomes for teacher education in 2017 Philippines. We have A. Articulate the rootedness of education and philosophical, sociocultural, historical, psychological, and political context. B. Demonstrate mastery of subject matter discipline. C. Facilitate learning using a wide range of teaching methodologies, delivery modes appropriate to specific learners and their environments. And D. Develop innovative curricula, instructional plans, teaching approaches, and resources for diverse learners. E. Apply skills in the development and utilization of ICT to promote quality, relevant, and sustainable educational practice. And we have F. Demonstrate a variety of thinking skills in planning, monitoring, assessing, and reporting learning process and outcomes. And G. Practice professional and ethical teaching standards sensitive to the local, national, and global realities. And the last one, pursue lifelong learning for personal and professional growth through varied experiential and field-based opportunities. In addition to the program outcomes of teacher education as a discipline, there are program outcomes specific to the Bachelor of Elementary Education, which is the CHED Memorandum Order Number 74, Series of 2017. We have Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English, Filipino, Mathematics, Science, and Social Studies. And we have the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education, and so on. So now let's proceed to the three types of learning. So believing that there were more than one type of learning, Benjamin Bloom and a committee of colleagues in 1956 identified the three domains of educational activities. We have the cognitive or the mental skills or knowledge, affective, growth and feeling or emotional areas or attitude, and the last is psychomotor or manual or physical or skills. So these domains are organized into categories or levels and arranged in hierarchical order from the simplest behavior to the most complex behavior. So to ensure that the learning outcomes are measurable, demonstrable, and verifiable. So the outcome should be stated as concrete and active verbs. So, we have to tackle about first the cognitive domain. So, the cognitive domain by Bloom in 1956 involves knowledge and the development of intellectual skills. This includes the recall of recognition of specific facts, procedural patterns, and concepts that serve in the development of intellectual abilities and skills. So, there are 6 major categories which are listed in order below, to starting from the simplest behavior to the most complex. In cognitive domain or knowledge, these are the 6 major categories. We have create, evaluate, analyze, apply, understand, and remember. So in create, we have to combining parts to make a new whole. And evaluate, we have judging the value of an idea or object or materials. And analyze, separating materials or concept into component parts to understand the whole. And next is applying or apply. So using what was learned in the classroom in similar new situations. Next is understand, comprehending the meaning, translation, and interpretation of instructions. State a problem in one's own word. And remember or remembering, recall of previously learned information. So now let's proceed to the affective domain. The affective domain by Krathwohl, Bloom, Mashab in 1973 includes the manner in which we deal with things emotionally, such as feelings, values, appreciation, enthusiasms, motivations, and attitudes. So these are the in affective domain. We have 5 major categories. We have the internalizes values, organization, valuing, responds to phenomena, and receiving phenomena. So internalizes values, or the characterization has a value system that controls their behavior. So the behavior is pervasive, consistent, predictable, and most importantly, characteristics of the learner. Instructional objectives are concerned with the student's general patterns of adjustment. And we have organization. So organize values into priorities by contrasting different values, resolving conflicts between them, and creating a unique system. The emphasis is on comparing, relating, and uh, synthesizing values. So we have valuing, the worth of value or a person attaches to a particular object, phenomenon, or behavior. So this ranges from simple acceptance to the more complex state of commitment. So valuing is based on the internalization of a set's specified values, while clues to these values are expressed in the learner's overt behavior and are often identifiable. So we have responds to phenomena, active participation on the part of the learners, attends and reacts to particular phenomenon. Learning outcomes may emphasize compliance and responding willingness to respond, or satisfaction in responding. And we have the last one, receiving phenomena, the awareness, willingness to hear, selected attention. Now let's proceed to the psychomotor domain. So the psychomotor domain by Simpson 1972 includes physical movement, coordination, and the use of motor skills areas. So development of these skills require practice and is measurable in terms of speed, precision, distance, procedure or techniques, and execution. So, in psychomotor domain, there are 7 major categories. We have perception, set, guided response, mechanism proficiency, complex overt response, adaptation, and origination. So in perception or the awareness, the ability to use sensory cues to guide motor activity. So this ranges from sensory stimulation through cue selection to translation. So next is the set. We have a readiness to act. It includes mental, physical, and emotional sets. So these 3 sets are dispositions that predetermine a person's response to different situation. And next we have the guided response, the early stages in learning a complex skill that includes imitation and trial and error. Adequacy or performance is achieved by practicing. And we have mechanism. This is the intermediate stage in learning a complex skill. So learned responses have become habitual and movement can be performed with some confidence and proficiency. And we have the complex overt response, or the expert. So the skillful performance of motor acts that involve complex movement patterns. Proficiency is indicated by a quick, accurate, and highly coordinated performance requiring a minimum of energy. So these categories includes performing without hesitation and automatic performance. Like for example, players often utter sounds of satisfaction or expletives as soon as they hit a tennis ball or throw a football, because they can tell by the feel of the act what the result will produce. And we have the adaptation. Skills are well developed and the individual can modify movement patterns to fit special requirements. And the last one, origination. Creating a new movement patterns to fit a particular situation or specific problems. Learning outcome emphasize creativity based upon highly developed skills. So, Lauren Anderson, a former student of Bloom, revisited the cognitive domain in the learning taxonomy in the mid-90s and made some changes, with perhaps the 2 most prominent ones being first changing the name in the six categories from noun to verb forms, and the second, slightly rearranging them. So Bloom's gets a revision based on recent research on memory and cognition and this new taxonomies by Marzano and Kendall. So Marzano and Kendall have given Bloom's taxonomy a bit of working over. So they reframe the 3 domains, and instead of categorizing learning activities, they describe as 6 levels of processing knowledge. So this one, in the original domain or the Bloom's taxonomy, and the new domain which is Kendall's and Marzano new taxonomy. So each level of processing can operate within each of the 3 domains. So in the revised cognitive taxonomy, Anderson and Krathwohl identify the 4 levels of knowledge. We have the factual knowledge. This refers to essential facts. terminology, details, or elements student must know or be familiar with in order to understand a discipline or solve a problem in it. And second, we have the conceptual knowledge. This refers to the interrelationship of facts. It is facts put together within a larger structure that enable them to function together. It is knowledge of classifications, principles, generalizations, theories, models, or structures pertinent to a particular disciplinary area. And we have the procedural knowledge. So this is knowing how to do something. So refers to information or knowledge that helps students to do something specific to a discipline, subject, or area of study. It includes knowledge of methods of inquiry, criteria for using skills, algorithms, techniques, and methods. And the last one, we have the metacognitive knowledge. So this is knowing that you know. This is thinking about your own thinking in a purposely way. It is awareness and knowledge of one's own cognition. It is reflective knowledge about how to go about solving problems and cognitive tasks. It includes contextual and conditional knowledge and knowledge of self. So this is the level of this is the new taxonomy of Kendall and Marzano. So Marzano and Kendall have given Bloom's taxonomy a bit of working over. So they reframe the three domains, and instead of categorizing learning activities, they describe 6 levels of processing knowledge. So we have the level 1, retrieval, level 2, comprehension, level 3, analysis, and level 4, knowledge utilization, level 5, metacognition, and the level 6, self-system thinking. So each level of processing can operate within each of the 3 domains. So the first 4 levels of processing are cognitive, beginning with retrieval, the least complex, then moving upward with increasing complexity through comprehension, analysis, and knowledge utilization. And the 5th level of processing, the metacognitive system, involves the learner's specifications of learning goals, monitoring of the learner's over-processing clarity and accuracy of learning. So simply put, involves the learner's organization of their own learning. So that is all. That's all my report.